Whether you're a product manager, product owner, a scrum master, or even an agile thought leader, it doesn't matter. You can be an agile coach or a team member, still doesn't matter. There are 5 superpowers that every single facilitator needs. One of the things that I've talked a lot about lately is that I believe everyone, even if you're just a parent, you should take the Certified Agile Facilitator class. It sounds silly, but what I can tell you is I think that that class provides great value. It teaches you a lot about how to organize your thoughts in such a way they're easily consumable, but even more importantly, it teaches you how to tackle some of life's greatest skills. So I think many people think being a facilitator is just about having all the right answers or being the smartest person in a room. But really, it's neither of those two things. It's about decentering yourself to help teams unlock clarity, alignment, and their best ideas. To do that, you need to dial up your EQ and other intangibles like helping people feel more comfortable, as well as your familiarity with methods and techniques that diffuse the drama, neutralize the politics, and tap into each person's creativity. Now, whether you've been facilitating for 100 years, whether you're just dipping your toe in the facilitation waterways, I'm going to give you 5 superpowers that I think will help you elevate your ability to successfully guide people through the widening road of decision making, ideation, problem solving, all in the spirit of helping them do their best work to help other people, right? Let's go through it. Let's start with number 1. So, number 1 has to be, I'm trying to think of the best way to word this, the key to unlock team creativity. So most people have been socialized to think that creativity is something you either have or you don't have. This line of thinking isn't conducive to doing great work because your participants can't tap into genuine exploration if they feel judged or stifled or unqualified to share their ideas. As a facilitator, it is your job to diffuse this thinking by using methods that demystify creativity. Activities like rapid idea generation, rapid really is funny, sketching exercises like we do in every workbook, lightning demos, and more things. It can just make a huge difference in your team's ability to explore solutions and get the real ideas out there, right? So you want to make sure you get the real ideas out there. Okay, let's go to number 2. So the number 2 superpower is engagement maximizer / disruption diffuser, right? Because you need to kind of have both. Let's just call it like we see it. There's only so much you can control when you're leading a group of people. It's just a fact. And that includes whether someone shows up to your session with a bad attitude. However, as a facilitator, it is your job to create an environment where people who may have a history of friction can actually work together successfully. To do this, you need to make sure your session is designed with some things in mind, like clarify every attendee's purpose of the meeting so they know what their role is and why they're there. Include structured methods that help set the tone for the interaction. Democratize feedback, sharing and ideation. Diffuse derailing questions. Remove distractions. Oftentimes that's technology. Have a contingency plan for how you're going to handle an unruly participant if you need to call an audible and address distracting behavior right there on the spot. You need to make sure you're prepared to make sure that you know how you're going to deal with these things if they happen, as if they already have, right? Okay, so let's go to number 3. Third superpower, the ability to help people feel comfortable. Now, this one is definitely a superpower. People who feel comfortable with one another and with you, the facilitator, are way more likely to collaborate with ease. They can work together seamlessly and do their best work. That's why this superpower is probably the most important. It can sometimes feel intangible, but there's a list of small actions you can take and little things you should pay attention to make sure that this superpower comes more naturally. I call the first one like the warm-up. Participants often need time to just a minute to transition into a session or from another meeting, whether it's them sending their screaming kids off to school, cleaning up spilled coffee, cleaning up something in the house. This is that moment. Never underestimate the power of an icebreaker to kickstart an interaction. So you can always find a way to stimulate a conversation. Another one is to normalize stupid questions. As a facilitator, one of the most powerful things that I do for my group is when I have them, I ask a ton of questions myself, especially when a jargon is being thrown around. I interrupt the conversation with, "Hey, what does that mean?" Or can you say more about what you're trying to? Can you say more about what you mean by this synergy? Right? Because you hear those things all the time. Your ability to make no assumptions means attendees will feel relief and gain more alignment when seemingly obvious questions are asked. Okay, let's go to the next one. Manage the politics. So, and this isn't the superpower, it is the next little micro thing. So, funky group dynamics and politics come with every facilitation territory. It's just a fact. That doesn't mean that you're at their mercy, though. You should be able to leverage a handful of techniques to get ahead of the possible problems or stop them in their tracks if you know something's coming. A lot of those are like voting or dot voting, time feedback. There's so many more. Just go look on Mural and Miro. There's tons of facilitation techniques there. Make sure you're taking breaks. If you know your meeting's going to be about an hour, take a break. It's okay. Even if you break it up with a lunch in the middle, it's better than letting people try to just pound through it. And make sure you're using active listening. Facilitators listen to people all day long, so it's up to us to receive information, synthesize it, and play it back. Sometimes you might need to paraphrase what you heard. It builds trust and drives understanding. Other times, the team will ask powerful questions to gain clarity, and they collaborate more frequently, which is likely something they've struggled to achieve on their own, but you can get there. Trust me, you can. All right, let's look at the next big one, number 4. So number 4 is make sure your number 4 superpowers have a curiosity mindset. So at the beginning of my career, when I first started facilitating leaders, I thought I needed to know every answer and took it personally if a session detoured from the original plan. Now I know that these are classic characteristics of a performance mindset, and they often stand in the way of effective leadership and team success. Being able to help unlock possibilities for the team requires a shift in your attitude across several dimensions so you can move away from being a performer and into the role of curious guide. Get a hold of that curiosity mindset and don't let go. Be provocative with your questions. Trust me, it's worth it. And then finally, number 5, high EQ and the vulnerability to pivot when you need to. To build on the last superpower, part of making your workshop a success is having the EQ to know when you need to adjust in real time. You need to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money. While you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough to count it when the dealing's... Oh, sorry. I got carried away. It keeps your team at the center of the work and shows that you have their best interest and the session's outcome in mind at all times. Even the most intentional, expertly crafted workshop designs can't anticipate exactly how a session might need to deviate to better support a group's needs. Getting to desired outcomes really depends on how receptive and how flexible you can be to pivot to support emergent needs of the group. One of the things that I say is you need to know how to read the room. If you can read the room and tell you need to pivot, then pivot. Do what you got to do. You need to make these decisions based on people, personalities, the energy of the group, what's happening in the room, observations, both verbal and nonverbal. There's so many things you can look at to get that information, but you need to look for it. You can't just let these things happen around you. So I think that none of these are actually natural. With time, patience, and practice, you're going to get better at activating the superpowers, but it is something that you have to activate. It's not something that just happens automatically. So sometimes I say, pick one of these and focus on it first. Don't try to do all 5 at once, and then see how you do, scale yourself, and go to another one. And if you can work on those things that way, I guarantee you by the time you get to number 5, you'll be a much better facilitator. That's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have a topic you want to discuss, learn more at AgileDad.com. We'd love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care. Bye now.